It seems like every single day there's another story about AI.
Oh, yeah.
Doing something amazing like composing music or diagnosing diseases or even like
Right.
writing code.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But with all this hype, it's easy to forget
Yeah,
that AI, it's really still in its early stages, right?
absolutely. And
You
with
need
that
to-
comes,
with that comes a lot of challenges.
yeah, a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to
Especially quality.
quality.
Trustworthiness.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen examples of AI going wrong, systems that are biased or give inaccurate results or even, crash and burn in ways that we didn't expect.
Totally. And as AI, becomes more and more a part of our lives, those failures can have some pretty serious real-world consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why I was so interested in that document that you shared with me, AIQure, AII Global Framework.pdf.
Right.
It's like this blueprint for building AI systems that are not only powerful, but also like really reliable and trustworthy.
And that's what we're going to dive into today, right? Unpacking the key components of this AIQure thing and exploring how it's all supposed to, how this framework aims to create a future where we can all feel confident about the AI that we interact with.
Yeah, you know what I think is really interesting about AIQure is that it goes beyond just trying to prevent those big catastrophic failures.
Right.
It's really about making sure that AI products meet these high standards of quality and effectiveness and, importantly, user needs.
Yeah.
It's like this holistic way of thinking about AI development,
Yeah.
Where quality assurance is just kind of baked in at every stage.
Okay, so let's get into this AIQure framework.
Okay.
It identifies 5 key axes of quality assurance:
Okay.
data integrity model robustness system, quality process agility, and customer expectations. These sound, pretty straightforward at first glance, but I'm guessing there's a lot more to them than meets the eye.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're right. Each one of these axes represents this, complex set of considerations that are just essential for building trustworthy AI.
Okay.
So why don't we start with data integrity?
Okay.
It really is the foundation of any AI system. If the data that you use to train your AI is flawed or biased or incomplete, then the AI system is just going to inherit those problems. And that can lead to some pretty bad outcomes.
Right. It's like the old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And AIQure goes beyond just, checking for obvious errors in the data. It really emphasizes understanding where the data came from, how it was collected, any potential biases that might be kind of hidden within it.
So it's not just about cleaning the data. It's also about understanding, its history and its context.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, let's say you have an AI system that's supposed to assess loan applications.
Okay.
Now, if the data that it was trained on primarily consists of applications from, affluent neighborhoods, then the AI might learn to discriminate against applicants from lower income areas,
Right.
even if things like, race or ethnicity are not specifically included in the data.
Wow. That's a really, subtle form of bias, but it could be really significant.
Absolutely.
So how does AIQure actually help developers avoid these kinds of problems?
Well, it kind of gives them a checklist.
Okay.
It prompts them to think about all these different factors that could impact data integrity. Encourages them to analyze the data for potential biases, to validate all the data pre-processing steps, and to make sure that the data is actually representative of the real-world scenarios that the AI is going to have to deal with.
Okay, so data integrity, that's all about making sure the AI is learning from good information.
Right.
What about model robustness?
Okay, so model robustness, that's really about the AI system's ability to deal with inputs that it wasn't expecting and to perform consistently across different environments.
Okay.
And in a perfect world, AI would only encounter data that's exactly like what it was trained on.
Yeah.
But the real world, that's not how it works.
Right, the real world is messy.
The real world is messy and unpredictable.
Yeah.
So an AI needs to be able to adapt to new situations and, deal with things it wasn't expecting.
Right, it needs to be able to, handle those curveballs.
Exactly. Like think about a self-driving car.
Okay.
It needs to be able to navigate not just, perfect conditions, but also like sudden detours or a flock of birds or even, a kid running out into the street.
Yeah, that's a pretty high stakes example.
Yeah, definitely high stakes.
So how do developers make sure that their systems can actually handle those kinds of situations?
Well, that's where something called adversarial testing comes in.
Okay.
So this involves, intentionally introducing those unexpected inputs or like little perturbations into the system to see how it responds. By putting the AI through a really tough stress test.
Right, to see where it breaks.
To see where it breaks. Yeah. And it's not just about, finding the failures. It's about understanding how it fails so that you can make it stronger and more resilient.
Okay, so data integrity is about giving the AI the right information. Model robustness is about making sure it can handle the unexpected.
Right.
What about system quality?
Okay, so system quality, that's about shifting the focus away from the AI model itself and thinking about how well it fits into the larger system that it's a part of.
Okay.
So this includes things like, APIs, user interfaces,
Okay.
and even the hardware that the AI is running on.
So it's about making sure the AI works well with all the other parts of the system.
Exactly, because you could have this incredibly powerful AI model, but if it can't communicate with the rest of the system, it's useless.
Right.
Like imagine a voice assistant that can understand all these complicated natural language queries, but then it takes minutes to process each request.
Yeah.
The AI itself might be brilliant, but the user experience would be terrible.
Right. It's like having a super fast processor paired with a dial-up modem. The bottleneck just negates all that potential speed.
Exactly.
So how does AIQure address this?
Well, it stresses the importance of seamless integration and efficient communication between all the components and low latency responses so it meets the user's expectations.
Yeah.
And it encourages developers to think about the whole user journey from the moment they start interacting with the system to, when they get that final output.
Okay, so we've got data integrity, model robustness, system quality, all covered. What about process agility?
Okay.
That sounds a little bit more abstract.
Yeah, so process agility is really about recognizing that AI development, it's not this linear process.
Right.
It's not like you just do it once and you're done. It's this iterative journey where you need to be flexible and adapt. Think about it like embracing the principles of agile development, but in the context of AI.
So it's about being able to, change course, adjust to new information, and constantly improve the AI over time.
Yeah, exactly. Because the field of AI is constantly changing. New discoveries and advancements are happening all the time. So AIQure encourages developers to be open to new ideas and to adjust their plans as needed.
Yeah, that makes sense because in a field as, dynamic as AI, rigidity is not going to get you anywhere.
No.
Okay, so we've covered 4 of the 5 axes of AIQure data integrity model, robustness system, quality process agility. What about that final one, customer expectations? Why is that so important when we're talking about AI quality assurance?
Well, customer expectations, it's all about remembering that these systems are ultimately designed to serve human needs and goals.
Right.
It's about making sure that AI systems are user-friendly and transparent and aligned with ethical principles.
Okay.
And we can dive a little bit deeper into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. We'll be right back to continue our exploration of AIQure and its mission to create trustworthy AI.
We often get so caught up in all the technical stuff,
Yeah.
algorithms and data sets,
Right.
that we forget that AI, it's all about people,
Yeah, that's so true. We can talk all day about the tech, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if an AI doesn't work for people, if it doesn't align with our needs and values, it's not really a success.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about that, customer expectations part of AIQure.
Yeah.
It really puts people at the center,
Yeah. Okay, I'm intrigued. So how do we define those customer expectations when we're talking about AI?
Well, I think it starts with understanding your audience,
Yeah.
who is actually going to be using or affected by this AI system. What are their needs, their goals, their concerns,
Right.
and it's about considering their cultural context,
Yeah.
their values, even how they already feel about AI.
So it's a bit like marketing,
Yeah, kind of.
Know your audience, but in this case, it's not about selling something. It's about designing something that actually serves their needs and, respects their values.
You got it.
Yeah.
So, let's say you're building an AI tool for kids to help them learn. You'd have to consider their developmental stage, how they learn, even the potential, that the AI might accidentally reinforce stereotypes.
Right. You wouldn't want an AI tutor that discourages girls from going into STEM fields.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And AIQure helps developers think about all these things from the beginning.
Okay.
It asks questions like, what are the potential unintended consequences of this? How can we make it inclusive and equitable? How can we build trust and make it transparent?
So it's not just about avoiding doing harm. It's about actively designing systems that, promote good outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about going beyond just looking at AI as something purely functional and really taking this human-centered approach.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together, but I'm curious, how do you actually measure something like customer expectations? I mean, is that possible?
Well, it might seem a bit subjective, but there are ways to measure and assess how well an AI system meets those expectations.
Okay.
User testing is a big one.
Okay.
Observe how real users interact with the system, get their feedback, and then you can identify areas for improvement.
So it's like beta testing for a new app or something.
Yeah, kind of, but it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
It's not just about finding bugs.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how the user feels about the system.
Right.
Do they find it helpful? Do they trust it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it easy to use?
It's about making sure that the AI feels like, a partner, not a roadblock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
AIQure also emphasizes the importance of constantly monitoring and getting feedback even after you launch the system.
Oh, okay. So it's not just like set it and forget it.
No, it's this ongoing process of learning and improvement based on real-world data.
Okay.
And you can get feedback from a lot of different places, user surveys, online reviews, even social media.
Right.
By actively listening to users and responding to what they say, you can make sure that your systems stay relevant and useful.
Yeah. So it's a lot about communication. This all sounds great in theory, but I'd love to hear about, some real world examples. Are there any companies out there that are really getting this right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are a lot of companies leading the way in human-centered AI design.
Okay.
One that comes to mind is Netflix.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I use Netflix.
Yeah. So think about their recommendation algorithm.
Yeah.
Super sophisticated. Uses machine learning to analyze your viewing history, your preferences, even like your mood to recommend shows you might like.
Yeah, and it's usually spot on.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I've started watching something Netflix recommended and thought I would never have chosen this myself.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. And that's what makes it so effective, is it goes beyond just recommending things you already like.
Okay.
They use techniques like exploration to show you new genres or directors or actors that you might not have thought about before.
So it's not just about reinforcing my existing tastes. It's about helping me find new things that I might love.
Exactly. And it's a tough balance.
You don't want to overload people with stuff they're not familiar with, but you also want to keep things interesting.
Right.
They've obviously put a lot of thought into how people actually use their system.
Yeah, it's really clever.
And how to make it a good experience for them.
Yeah, that's a great example. It shows how a company can use AI to, really personalize the experience, but only if they really understand what their customers want.
Absolutely. And it's not just entertainment.
Yeah.
There are tons of companies in different industries who are embracing this human-centered AI approach.
Okay, like what?
Like healthcare.
Oh, yeah, healthcare.
Where trust is so, so important.
Totally. How are companies using AI in healthcare in a way that builds trust?
Well, there's a growing trend of using AI chatbots to give basic medical advice and support.
Okay.
But the ones that really work are the ones that focus on making it feel like a human interaction.
Okay.
These chatbots don't just give you information. They ask questions. They listen to your concerns. They try to reassure you.
So they're designed to be more like a virtual nurse than like a cold medical database.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so important for building trust, especially when you're dealing with sensitive health information.
Yeah.
These companies get that customer expectations in healthcare go way beyond just, functionality.
Right. People want to feel heard and understood.
Exactly. They want to feel cared for.
Yeah. Okay, so we've seen how AIQure's emphasis on customer expectations is actually playing out in the real world.
Yeah.
But I do have kind of a devil's advocate question here.
Okay.
With all this talk about, user needs and ethics and responsible AI, doesn't that slow down innovation?
That's a great question. And it's one that people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Some people worry that, thinking about ethics will stifle creativity.
Yeah.
But I actually think the opposite is true.
Really? How so?
Think about it if people don't trust AI.
Mm-hmm.
If they're always worried about bias or privacy or, things going wrong, they're not going to use it.
So lack of trust actually prevents people from adopting it.
Exactly.
By putting customer expectations and ethics first, we're actually making it more likely that people will accept and use AI.
Okay.
When people feel confident that these systems are designed to help them and uphold their values, they're more likely to embrace the technology.
That makes sense. It's like building a house.
Yeah.
If you don't have a solid foundation, the whole thing is going to fall apart.
Right.
And for AI, that foundation is trust.
Exactly. And AIQure gives us this framework for building that foundation.
Yeah.
For creating a future where AI is not just powerful, but also trustworthy and beneficial and, aligned with human values. But as AI continues to evolve at this crazy pace, it makes you wonder, how can we make sure that frameworks like this stay relevant and adaptable?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive into AIQure. Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into AIQure and this whole idea of building AI that we can trust and rely on.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. Yeah, we've talked about all these different aspects, data integrity, model robustness, system quality, process agility, and of course, customer expectations.
Right.
But AI is moving so fast.
Right.
It really makes you wonder, can any framework really keep up?
It's a good question. And AI is changing so quickly, the applications, the risks, the needs of the users, it's all constantly evolving.
Right.
So for something like AIQure to stay relevant,
Yeah.
it can't just be this static document.
Right.
It has to be like this living set of principles that can change and grow.
So less like, rules set in stone and more like a compass that helps guide us through this, constantly changing landscape. But how do we actually make sure that AIQure stays aligned with the future of AI?
Well, one important thing is recognizing that AI systems themselves are becoming more and more complex.
Right.
We're moving beyond those like traditional rule-based systems into things like deep learning, neural networks models with, millions or even billions of parameters.
Yeah.
Figuring out how these systems work and making sure they're reliable.
Right.
That's a huge challenge.
Just like that black box problem, but on a whole other level.
Right.
Like we need to make sure that we're not just building powerful AI, but AI that we can understand and, examine and hold accountable for what it does.
Exactly. Transparency and accountability. They're more important than ever.
Mm.
We need new tools and techniques to help us look inside these systems and see how they're making decisions and identify, potential biases or problems.
So it's not enough to just know that it works.
Right.
We need to know how it works and be able to trace back those decisions and make sure they align with our values and our expectations. It's almost like we need some kind of audit trail for AI.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just for when things go wrong. It's about building trust from the beginning. If people understand how AI works, they're more likely to feel comfortable using it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Transparency builds trust. But beyond the technical stuff, what about the human element? How do we keep AIQure aligned with what users want, especially as those expectations change?
Well, that's where continuous learning comes in.
Okay.
We need to pay attention to user feedback, watch how AI systems are being used in the real world, and look out for any new concerns or needs that come up.
So customer expectations, it's not like a fixed thing.
No, it's constantly changing.
It's a moving target.
Yeah. And it's not just about individual users.
Right.
We also have to think about the bigger picture.
It's the societal impact.
Yeah. What are the ethical implications of using AI in healthcare and education in the justice system?
Yeah, those are big questions.
They are.
And it feels like we're still figuring out the answers as AI continues to develop.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have something like AIQure that encourages us to keep talking about this and working together.
Right.
It's not just a set of rules. It's a call to action for everyone involved.
Developers, policymakers.
Researchers.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone needs to work together to shape the future of AI in a responsible and beneficial way.
Okay, so it sounds like AIQure gives us a good foundation, but it's really just the beginning.
Yeah.
The real challenge is taking these principles and adapting them to new situations and integrating them into this rapidly evolving field and really creating this culture of responsibility and ethical awareness within the AI community.
I think you put it perfectly. And, as we wrap up our deep dive here, I think the most important takeaway is this: the technology is complicated.
Yeah, it is.
The challenges are big. But the goal is actually very simple.
Okay.
We want to build AI that serves humanity, not the other way around.
I like that.
And to do that, we need to keep talking to each other and working together and always putting human values front and center, along with all the technological advancements.
That's a great point. Well said. As always, there's so much more to explore, but I think this has been a really good overview of AI quality assurance. And to our listeners, I encourage you to keep learning, stay informed, and be a part of shaping the future of AI, because ultimately that future is in our hands.